Now back to Mornings with Zerlina.
Welcome back to Mornings with Zerlina. Our next guest represents the United States Virgin Islands. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett is on the line. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
You know, we have 118 days to go. And I was just saying to Bakari Sellers, I'm just glad that we have 118 days to go until the election and not 18 days. So I'm okay.
There you go. Well, you have one of my favorite young men who is on the show, Bakari, and I go back a ways, and I just adore him, his wife, and the twins.
Yes. All true statements. So I hope he's still listening in. So let's talk about the state of the race before we get into Project 2025, which I know you've been talking a lot about on Capitol Hill. There's a lot of hand-wringing right now among the Democratic Party. I feel like the Democrats being in disarray is the phrase that people use, but it doesn't really apply usually. But right now, I feel like it is kind of what's happening. I mean, how do you feel after yesterday's meeting with House Democrats about the state of the race and Joe Biden being at the top of the ticket?
Well, I was not at the caucus meeting. I had one of my insane, crazy hearings with Jim Jordan on the Weaponization Committee. But I did get feedback from a lot of members afterwards on the floor and then other discussions. And, I think members are concerned. Members are scared about not just losing the presidential race, but losing their own seats. And because the stakes are so high. This is not a difference between two moderate candidates. This is between democracy and autocracy. This is about freedom and fascism. That's the difference between the two candidates and what they're being offering. And so, of course, the notion of losing causes people real angst and real concern. But I'm confident that we will still have time, as you said, with 118 days to steer the ship. I remind people that when Mike Dukakis was running against Bush in August, Dukakis was 20 points ahead, and see what happened after that. And repeatedly, Democrats have been outperforming what pollsters have been telling them, that there really seems to be a disconnect between the base and the grassroots and what people are saying on the ground and what pollsters are receiving. We look at examples of Angela Osselbrook versus David Trone, right? Grassroots versus money. What happened in France just recently, where pollsters were predicting a far-right neo-Nazi wave coming into France, and it did not happen. And so I take comfort in that, and I am not, Zerlina, I am not an optimist. That is not how I operate. I try to operate on the real. And so I think that we still have time. I think but there are things that are going to have to be done. Should Biden stay, and it appears that that's what's going to happen, there are fundamental changes that need to happen in that campaign for us to aggressively get back to the issues, as Bakari said, also to share with individuals what will happen under a Trump campaign, and to get those people who are still hesitant to support the president.
What changes would you like to see?
Wow. I, of course, am very concerned about the base, and that is Black people supporting the president, and in the numbers that we need. You and I know that, Black women, we're going to carry this country to the bitter end, it feels like. But when it comes to Black men, I think that we are not speaking to them. And so the campaign needs to not do what they've done in the past, but do what needs to happen in the future to get those people on board, as well as young people. Speak their language, go to the places where they are, have individuals in the campaign who can speak to them. And that's, I think, what's going to bring us back, because the contrast is stark. And if we put up in a manner in which those people can see what Trump is saying, let's just look at his rally yesterday at Doral. You want to talk about dementia and possible ageism and just word salad and just cray-cray. That was Trump standing up there in that rally.
Such an important point. We don't talk enough about the fact that President Trump does not make any sense when he speaks words, and we somehow just overlook that for 9 years now, and it's one of the things that drives me crazy. Okay, so you said something really really important, that this election is a choice between freedom and fascism, and I want to talk a bit about fascism piece because you've been laser focused on Project 2025, and the media is just now catching on. So you can answer briefly what Project 2025 is, but I really want you to get into the impact of Project 2025 because it's not so much what they wrote down on the 900 pages, but what the actual impact of Project 2025 and what that would do to communities of color and young people, as we said, were the base of the Democratic Party.
Sure. Thank you so much for having this discussion. But I really want to let people know, first of all, let's talk about how it was created. Project 2025 is a presidential transition plan that has been created for the day one after Trump is inaugurated. And this is the reconstruction of the federal government and reconstruction of America. Its authors call this an American revolution that will be bloodless if the left allows it to be. To me, now you just called me to a fight, and I'm ready for it, because that is not what's going to happen. The individuals who have written Project 2025 are, Trump wants to distance himself, but it's individuals like Pete Navarro, who were, individuals who were in the White House, Russ Vought, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, Stephen Miller, one of the most white supremacist individuals who works for the president as well. Ken Cuccinelli, acting Deputy Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, his Deputy Chief of Staff for the president. All of these are individuals who are involved in the writing, the research, and what is Project 2025. And Project 2025 is their plan for the American people. And so people are like, well, what's in Project 2025? Zerlina, as you said, it's almost 1,000 pages. And in that 1,000 pages, it discusses every agency, every aspect of American life. It would, for abortion, it would reverse the FDA's approval of abortion medication. It would invoke a 150-year-old defunct law called the Comstock Act to ban the shipment of abortion pills. It would compel states to report the reason for every abortion performed within their border. When it comes to education, it would reverse the Biden administration's student debt relief effort, which we know has helped so many young people to be able to finally buy a home, to create wealth, to get out of debt. President Biden has additional plans to even increase millions of borrowers to be relieved of that debt. This would call for the reversal of that, for those individuals to have that debt put back on it. It puts Medicare on a path to be privatized. It repeals President Biden's Medicare price negotiation program, which put insulin at $35 a month for so many individuals that we know, particularly in Black and brown communities that are diabetic. It takes away LGBTQ rights. It would create mass deportation of individuals that are here that are not citizens as yet, even those that are married to Americans that are on their path to citizenship. It would create even more corporate tax cuts to the rich, to the wealthy, to the well-connected. And it would take away all diversity, equity, and inclusion, affirmative action, etc., that is within the government, And on top of all of that, it would create a loyalty pledge that individuals working for the federal government have to follow, so that their fealty is not to the Constitution and to America, but to President Trump. And he would, on top of that, put the Department of Justice under his direct command. This is fascism at its best right here in America. And don't say it can't happen here. People said it couldn't happen in Germany. People said it couldn't happen in Italy. Rome fell, Greece fell. All of these countries have fallen because people were asleep, didn't wake up and do their part to stop it.
Such an important point, and I think that, it's a little bit sad that the media is just now realizing that Project 2025 is a thing. They're like, "Oh, maybe we should cover this." The end of American democracy written down in 900 pages. But also talk a bit about how you've been engaged in ringing the alarm bell about Project 2025 on Capitol Hill, and whether or not you feel like your colleagues and other folks are going to start doing the same thing. Because I feel like the American public, the voter, needs to know that democracy is actually on the line and they have a plan to dismantle it.
Well, I think that there are a number of members who have been discussing this. You've seen in social media, my colleagues Jasmine Crockett, Ayanna Pressley, and others discussing this quite a bit over the last few months. I do believe on the Democratic side that it is getting traction. The entire time during my hearing yesterday on the Weaponization Committee, they wanted to talk about Alvin Bragg and try and reach into a state prosecution at a congressional level. And we used the entire time, every member, to discuss Project 2025, from Debbie Wasserman Schultz talking about the assault on women's bodies and abortion, to other individuals discussing all of the things that would happen with Project 2025. Jerry Connolly talking about how this is going to decimate federal workers. And Jared Hoffman has created now a task force for members to be able to get this information out and make it happen. And I'm so grateful that we have influencers out there like, Taraji Henson bringing this up at the BET Awards, which caused a surge in searches on Project 2025, you using your platform. And I think we've got to push until mainstream news and cable news are discussing it as well on a daily basis.
On a daily basis is absolutely correct. Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, representative of the United States Virgin Islands, thank you so much for being with us. We'll have you back anytime you want to come on and talk about Project 2025. We'll stay focused on the issue, even if the mainstream media is not. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Stay safe. That's our show for this Wednesday morning. We'll be back with more analysis. Again, the president has a press conference tomorrow. The RNC is starting tomorrow. God, I'm deep sigh. But we made it through today. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stephanie Miller is coming up next.